Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I have a spine-chilling story that will make you think twice about exploring hidden corners. Grab your popcorn, turn off the lights, and let's dive into the eerie tale of the hidden door in my basement. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more terrifying tales. I've lived in this old house for about a year now. It's got that creaky, spooky vibe, but nothing out of the ordinary had ever happened. Until last night. I was cleaning in the basement when I noticed a strange seam in the wall behind some old shelves. After moving everything aside, I found a small door, barely big enough for a person to crawl through. Curiosity got the better of me, so I pried it open. Inside, there was a narrow, dark tunnel leading into the earth. I grabbed a flashlight and crawled in. The tunnel went on for what felt like forever, and I started feeling uneasy. Eventually, it opened up into a small, musty room.
The walls were lined with old, faded photographs of people who looked terrified. In the center of the room was a single chair, facing the photos. Suddenly, my flashlight flickered and went out. Panic set in as I fumbled to turn it back on. When the light finally came back, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A fresh photograph on the wall, of me, standing in the basement, looking at the hidden door. I bolted out of there and sealed the door shut. I don't know who or what took that picture, but I'm not sticking around to find out. I stayed at a friend's place that night, and I seriously considered moving. Whatever's in that basement, it's not something I want to mess with. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was all a bad dream, but the memory of that photograph lingered, gnawing at the edges of my mind. I returned to the house in daylight, hoping to find a rational explanation. With my heart pounding, I reopened the hidden door and crawled back into the tunnel. The room was just as I had left it, the photographs still staring down with their haunting expressions. But the chair in the center had changed positions, now facing the tunnel entrance. Determined to find answers, I began examining the photographs more closely. They were all old, yellowed with age, but one caught my attention. It was a family, standing in front of a house that looked exactly like mine. My house. The people looked desperate, their eyes pleading for help. Suddenly, I heard a faint whispering sound coming from the tunnel. It was getting louder, closer. I backed up against the wall, flashlight trembling in my hand. From the darkness, a shadow emerged, slowly taking the shape of a person. Paralyzed with fear, I watched as the shadow moved closer. It was the same figure from the photographs, now standing right in front of me. Its eyes were hollow, dark voids that seemed to swallow the light. It raised a skeletal hand and pointed towards the chair. "I was the first," it whispered, its voice echoing with despair. "But not the last. They took us, one by one. We were trapped here, forever watching." The shadow faded, and the room fell silent. My legs gave out, and I collapsed onto the cold, damp floor. I knew I had to leave, but something compelled me to stay. I needed to understand what had happened to these people. I found an old journal tucked behind one of the photographs. It belonged to a man named Edward, who had lived in the house over a century ago. The entries described how his family had discovered the hidden door and the strange occurrences that followed. One by one, his family members disappeared, leaving only their photographs behind. Edward wrote about a dark entity that haunted the basement, feeding on fear and trapping its victims in the room. He had tried to destroy the door, but it always reappeared, stronger than before. His last entry was a plea for anyone who found the journal to seal the door and never return. With a newfound sense of urgency, I sealed the door once more, this time using chains and heavy furniture to block it. I contacted a local historian and paranormal expert, Dr. Hargrove, who agreed to investigate the house. Dr. Hargrove arrived with a team of experts, and together we uncovered more about the house's dark history. The entity had claimed countless victims over the years, trapping their souls in the hidden room. The only way to break the cycle was to perform an ancient ritual to banish the entity. That night, we gathered in the basement, reciting the incantations as the historian had instructed. The air grew thick with tension, and the room seemed to pulse with malevolent energy. As we completed the ritual, the hidden door began to tremble, and a deafening wail filled the basement. The entity appeared one last time, its form writhing in agony before dissipating into the air. The photographs on the walls faded, and the oppressive feeling lifted. We had succeeded in breaking the curse. I moved out of the house shortly after, but the experience stayed with me. The historian documented our findings, warning future generations of the dangers hidden within the house. As for me, I vowed never to let curiosity lead me into darkness again. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more spine-chilling tales. And remember, sometimes it's best to leave hidden doors unopened. You never know what might be waiting on the other side.